Scattered seeds, roots crossed overseas. Stories carried on, whispers through the breeze. Identity stitched in colors and creed. Melanin magic, we more than needs. Dual passports, privilege in hand. Born here, but we feel another land. Invest in bricks where
the African Continent Real Estate Listing Service. I am so happy to be here and so glad you are here with us. And I am going to introduce our sister, Hanna. I'm surprised my sister Louv said guest. Hanna is not a guest, she's our sister. But Hanna Atiase, world-renowned, multi-award winner, winning agent, just all around brilliant, excellent person. And she owns Ewells Realty over in East Legon. And we're just so happy to have her with us today. Hello, Hanna.
Hello, Des. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. I appreciate it. And welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here. And yeah, we start on time. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We had, I think, almost over 80 people who registered. But hey, we're going to get started. The rest of you can join in. And then you can also follow the recording on the various platforms as well afterwards. So thanks again, everyone. The last time we had a webinar, I talked about the home buying process in Ghana. So today we want to talk about the financing options because we got a lot of questions about financing and how can I purchase a home? Are there mortgages in Ghana and what's the process and what are the steps? So, you know, from talking about the home buying process, we want it to be a reality for you. So today we have Miriam Dowuona, who's going to talk to us about how you can purchase a property. She's going to talk to us about various loan products from First National Bank. So Miriam, I'm going to let you take it away and walk us through the presentation. And after that, we're going to have a Q&A session. So please jot down all your questions and Miriam will be more than happy to answer those right after her presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Hanna, for the introduction, and thank you, Louv, also. So good evening to everyone joining us from, I believe, Ghana, the US, and then all around the world. So just like Hanna mentioned, my name is Miriam Dowuona, and I'm the Business Development Officer for Home Loans at First National Bank. It's a pleasure to welcome all of you to this webinar, and I'm pleased to also be part of the webinar to give you information on how you can become a homeowner, specifically in Ghana. Now, before I dive into the whole presentation slide, I'd just like to give a brief snapshot of property financing or the property financing landscape in Ghana, or when it comes to owning a home in Ghana, how things are done. Now, in Ghana, generally, when people want to acquire property, and they tend to go through 3 steps or 3 routes. And the first is self-financing. And when I say self-financing, that is acquiring a land or a piece of land and then building over a period of time or over some years. And then secondly is the developer payment plan option, where they reach out to a developer and then the developer gives them a payment plan for them to pay over a period of years for them to put up the building for them. And then the third one is the mortgage aspect or the bank financing aspect. And that is where First National Bank actually comes into the conversation. Now, at First National Bank, we offer structured home loans that allow you to actually own a home now and then repay over a longer period. So when I say over a longer period, that's up to 20 years. Now, in today's session, we'll actually be focusing on 4 main areas. That is the type of home loans that we have at First National Bank, who qualifies, and then actually how to apply, and then the required documentation or associated fees. And then we would also look at some repayment examples, both in USD and then Ghana cedi, just to give you an idea of how much, if you decide to take a home loan from First National Bank, you might end up paying every month. But before we dive into the whole product and then the whole process, I'm sure you'll be wondering um, who First National Bank is, or the bank that is named First National Bank. We have over 2 decades of focused experience when it comes to mortgage in Ghana. So we're actually the first bank to start providing home loan solutions in Ghana. Now, before we became First National Bank, we were previously known as GHL Bank. And then before GHL Bank, we're known as Ghana Home Loans. So if you hear of First National Bank, it's the previous Ghana Home Loans or GHL Bank. Now, in 2006, well, Ghana Home Loans was established in 2006, and the main mission of the bank was to provide long-term financing for individuals across the country. And for over a decade, that is what we actually did. So we became Ghana's go-to specialist when it came to home financing. But in 2017, we became a full-service universal bank. So we rebranded. However, we're still offering home loan solutions to Ghanaians based in Ghana and then abroad. And then in 2020, there was a merger between First National Bank of South Africa and then Ghana GHL Bank of Ghana. Now, this merger, or what this merger meant was that we're combining the two powerhouses, which was First National Bank speciality, sorry, forgive me, Ghana Home Loan speciality in mortgage knowledge in Ghana, and then also the strong financial backing that First National Bank actually had. Now, when we say we are home loans experts in Ghana, we actually mean it because, like I mentioned, we've been in the industry for over 20 years. So when it comes to anything home loan solutions, we are your go-to people. And I'm sure Hanna can attest to that, actually. So this measure, or what this measure meant was that, and it made us stronger, or it gave us a wider capacity. And what this meant was that we could provide bespoke and then a broader portfolio of home loan products. And also we could conduct enhanced pre-purchase due diligence for your investment, because taking a home loan is a huge investment and we don't want you to make any mistakes when it came to that aspect. So the measure actually means that our due diligence process was actually enhanced. And then also it meant that you'll be assigned a dedicated relationship officer. So from the beginning of the process to the end, or when the funds are disbursed, the relationship officer actually walks you through the process from the beginning to the end. So you're not left alone, or you don't feel like you've been left to go through the whole process alone. And then it also meant that our turnaround times, or the processing times, actually became faster compared to when we were GHL Bank. And we also developed some other products of affordability products, just to help individuals that are actually interested in taking a loan, but didn't meet the criteria at the moment. And then they just needed some time to actually grow their portfolio to be able to take a loan from us. So now that we know who First National Bank is and what the measure actually meant for us as a bank, I'm sure we all know what a home loan is, but I'd just like to give a brief idea of what a home loan is, and then how the whole home loan process works. So in layman's language, or let me say in simple terms, a home loan is just money that a bank gives to you to help you buy, build, or complete a home. So if you're looking to build your first house, buy a house, buy land, or complete your house, the money you take to do this or to embark on this endeavor is what we call a home loan. Now, with a home loan, you actually don't pay everything upfront. So instead, what happens is the bank pays the bulk of the cost for you, and you pay it back gradually over time. Now, when it comes to home loans, the repayments are made every month, and the monthly repayment includes two things, which is the principal, and that is the actual loan that you took from the bank, and then the interest, which is the fee that you pay for the bank lending you the money. So think of a home loan just like a structured payment plan that lets you own a property now, whilst you pay for it over a period of time. And at First National Bank, or FNB for short, we give you up to 20 years to pay back your loan. So we believe that gives you enough room to manage your income, and then also be able to attend to your family responsibilities without having any financial struggles, and then still be able to build your future that you want. Now, Also, depending on where you earn your income, either in Ghana or abroad, we give you the option to take a dollar loan or a CD loan. So there's nothing like, okay, I don't live in Ghana, so I can't take a loan from First National Bank. There's the option for you can actually take a loan in dollars. And then if you're based in Ghana, you can actually take a loan in CD also. Can you hear me? Can I please get away? You
Yes,
can
we
hear
can
me.
hear, we can
Yes,
all
we
hear you.
can.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Joel, so the screen, I think please, can you be moving the slides? Because I actually can't see anything. Because I've said a lot and then the screen is just.
Yes.
So please move to the next slide. The next one. Thank you. So I'm sure you'll be wondering, or after all I've said, everyone on the call will be wondering, okay, so do I actually qualify for a home loan from First National Bank? And what are the pros or what are the requirements? Now, whether you're living in Ghana or abroad, or working for someone or running your own business, or you are Ghanaian or non-Ghanaian, we have a product for you. So we make sure that no one is left out when it comes to the home loan process or the acceptable applicants when it comes to taking a home loan in Ghana with First National Bank. Now, we provide home loans to resident Ghanaians. So if you're a Ghanaian born in Ghana and living in Ghana, you can take a home loan from First National Bank. We also provide loans to non-resident Ghanaians. So you're not a Ghanaian, so you're a Ghanaian, but you're not based in Ghana. You're living outside or in the diaspora. You can take a loan from us to actually buy a house in Ghana. And then we also provide loans to residents non-Ghanaians. So you're living in Ghana, maybe on a work permit or other means, or other you're here doing something, but you're not Ghanaian. You can actually take a loan from us to also buy a house or acquire property in Ghana. And then also, I'm sure some of you will be wondering, okay, so I'm not Ghanaian, I don't live in Ghana, but I also want to take a loan to buy. We also provide funding for such individuals too. So if you are non-resident, non-Ghanaian, but you are thinking of buying a house in Ghana, First National Bank also provides loans to such individuals. So we don't only provide loans to Ghanaians or people based in Ghana. You can be living outside Ghana and you're not Ghanaian, but we'd also provide funding for you to own a home in Ghana. Now, aside that, or aside the citizenship aspect, we also look beyond that. We look at the income or how you earn your income. Now, for you to qualify for a loan at First National Bank, you should be either a salaried worker or a self-employed individual. Now, when I say a salaried worker, per First National Bank definition is an individual who works for a company or institution. And even if you are a shareholder, when it comes to the company, you don't own more than 20% of the shares in the company. So that's the definition when it comes to First National Bank. And we term you as a salaried worker. Now, for such an individual, you have to provide us with documents like your appointment letter, your pay slips, and then bank statement to show your consistent income. Aside salaried workers too, we provide loans to self-employed individuals or business owners or consultants. Now, if you own your own business or you own more than 20% of a business, meaning that you are actually a majority shareholder, or you work independently, let's say you're a contractor or a freelancer, at First National Bank, you are considered to be self-employed. So for such an individual, we evaluate your bank statements, your business financials, and then the business activity to actually assess your affordability to know if you can actually qualify for a loan with First National Bank. We are also open to joint applications, so especially between spouses and then siblings. As long as both parties meet the basic requirements, you can take a loan from First National Bank. And when you applications actually also help you to increase the amount of loan you can take. So the power of two. So if you're married and you want to take it with your wife or your husband, it actually helps you to take more of the amount or the loan. And then if you are siblings also, you can actually combining both incomes, you can take more compared to if just one individual is taking the loan. So whether you are living in Ghana or abroad, salaried or self-employed, local or a foreigner, we have something for you when you approach First National Bank when it comes to home loans. So we would move to our product portfolio. We have, like I mentioned earlier, we have something for everybody. once you walk into our bank, you don't leave without we providing a solution to your home loans or home ownership problems. Now, we have various products when it comes to our home loans portfolio. We have our home purchase loans, we have our home construction loan, we have land purchase loans, and then we have homeowner loans. Now, under the home purchase loans, this is our most popular loan that we have. We have a lot of people coming in for that, buying homes or completed homes in Ghana. Now, under that, we have the first time buyers. So this is an individual who is acquiring their first home, or they don't have an existing property and they are acquiring their primary property. Now, under this particular product, for the first time buyer, there's the option of actually First National Bank financing 100% of the purchase or the property price for you. But then you have to meet certain conditions. You have to be a Ghanaian based in Ghana. And also, the property price doesn't have to exceed $100,000. So the maximum price should be $100,000. That is when we would consider doing 100% purchase for you. But then, like I mentioned, you have to be a Ghanaian based in Ghana. Then there's also the home purchase, which is someone buying if their first home. However, they don't fall under the first-time buyer. They don't fall under the 100% purchase. And for that, we finance just 80% of the property price. So you would have to do a 20% deposit, and then the bank does the 80% on your behalf. And then, as I mentioned earlier, there's also the 100% purchase, which is us doing or paying everything for you to acquire your home. Now, there's the home construction loan also. So you're already a landowner and you're looking for funds to build. When you reach out to us, when you approach First National Bank, we can actually help you to build. Now, with this particular product, we finance up to 60% of the total amount when it comes to putting up your building or building your property. So we don't do the total 100%. What we do is 60%. So you would have to do a 40%, or you would have to pay finance the 40% yourself. Same with the home completion. You started building already, but you're actually struggling to complete the building. We can also assist you in that regard also. And then we do up to 66% of the property price, or the amount that it requires to complete the property. So it's actually 66%, I apologize, not 60%. And then the next is our land purchase loan. Now, for the land purchase loan, we actually do 60% of the land price. So you'd have to do a deposit of the 40% or 40%. And one thing about this is the land has to be a service plot. So when I say a service plot, the road network towards in the area should be well demarcated. There should be electricity in the area, and then there should be water also in the area. And we do 60% of the price of the land for you. And then there's also our homeowner loans. And under the homeowner loans, we have the equity release and then the home improvement. Now, this loan is actually for existing homeowners. So if you are an existing homeowner, this is where you can actually get some money from. And for the equity release, what happens is you are an existing homeowner, you can actually release equity on your existing property while still living in the property. And so you don't have to go and sell the house if you need money. You can use your existing property as collateral to take a loan from the bank. And we do up to 70% of the property value. So what we do is we do a valuation of the property to see how much it would cost on the market, and then we can give you up to 70% of the property price. Same with home improvement. You are an existing homeowner, you want to do some changes in the house. Maybe you want to add a pool, you want to maybe expand the house, or maybe you want to upgrade to use it maybe for Airbnb or for rental purposes. You can actually and take equity on the property. And for that too, we give you up to 70% of the property price, or the property price, yes. So we would move to the next slide, and then I'll give you a detailed breakdown of the various products that I've spoken about. First is our home purchase loan. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the home purchase is designed to basically help you to buy a completed house. either a newly built one or an already existing house. And with that, you don't have to pay the full amount upfront. The bank gives you the bulk of the money. So I mentioned that we do 80% of the price of the property for you, and you pay back in monthly installments. Now, for this, you can only borrow up to 80% of the value of the property. So you'd have to do a 20% deposit. However, we have the 100% option that I mentioned, and that is for resident Ghanaians. And the property doesn't have to, or the price of the property doesn't have to exceed $100,000. That is when we consider doing the total 100% for you. And this product is actually one that non-resident, non-Ghanaians actually qualify for. So if you are not a Ghanaian and you're also not based in Ghana, but you're looking to acquire property in Ghana, this is one of the loans that you can take from First National Bank. However, with non-residents, non-Ghanaians, we only finance up to 50% of the price of the property. So we don't do the total 100% for you. So we only do 50%. So if you are not Ghanaian and you're not based in Ghana, however, you want to buy a house in Ghana, we do only 50%. But then any other individual can actually qualify for the 80%. And then the individual pays the 20% deposit. And the repayment period for this is up to 20 years. The minimum is 10 years. So you have enough time to actually pay for the loan without having any financial constraints or feeling the pressure when it comes to the repayment. And for this also, whether you're a salaried worker or self-employed, you also qualify for the loan. And for this too, co-borrowing is allowed. So I mentioned earlier that if you're married and you want to take it with your spouse, or you want to acquire the house with your sibling, it's also allowed at First National Bank. And then the vendor must also be the valid owner of the property. That one is very important. You have to ensure that the house that you are buying, whoever is selling the property to you, is the valid owner of the property. And we will do all our checks before we actually disburse the loan to you to ensure that the investment that you're making is actually a secure one. Now, we also have the land purchase loan, and this is one also that non-resident, non-Ghanaians can also qualify for. So if you are not a Ghanaian, based in Ghana, but you want to actually acquire lots of land in Ghana, when you come to First National Bank, we can cater to that need. And for this too, we only do 50% of the land price. So you would have to do a 50% deposit, and then we finance the 50% for you. But any other individual who we do 60% of the land price, but non-residents, non-Ghanaians, the cap is 50%. And for this too, the land has to be a service plot, as I mentioned, or a service residential land. And when the roads have to be serviced, so there should be water, electricity, and also the land has to come with a verifiable title documentation. It's very important. Whoever is selling the land to you should be able to prove that they're actually the owners of the land. And during the process or during the mortgage process, we actually do all these verifications to ensure that the land that you are buying is something that will not come with any litigation or challenges in the future. And with this, to co-borrowing is allowed. So if you want to borrow with your wife, your husband, your sibling, you can actually co-borrow and then purchase the land. And repayment also usually doesn't exceed 40% of your take-home or your net income. We wouldn't want you to struggling financially after paying your mortgage loan. So we ensure that when you're paying your loan every month, it doesn't exceed 40% of your net income or your take-home. And the vendor, as I mentioned earlier, must be the legal or the rightful owner of the land that they are selling to you. Now, with this land purchase option, once you are done buying the land and you are ready to also build, you can actually come to First National Bank, and we would also provide funding for you to put up your building on the land that you've purchased. And that is what I'm going to talk about, which is our next product, which is the home construction or completion loan. And this is for individuals who already have land and are looking to build. And we do up to 66% of the property value. So you would have to do the remaining amount. And for this too, co-borrowing is allowed. and repayment is up to 20 years also. And the building must be for only residential purposes. So at First National Bank, all our loans or home loans that we give are to acquire properties that are for residential purposes. So we don't give loans to acquire commercial properties. When you're buying a property for office space, no, all our loans are to acquire residential properties. And the borrower or whoever is coming to take the loan must actually be the legal owner or the rightful owner of the land that you are building on. And that is one thing that is very important. And also, the repayment should not exceed, or we ensure that it doesn't exceed 40% of your net income. So you don't find yourself in any financial difficulties. So if you have land and you're looking to build and you come to us, we can help you with to put up your dream home. If you've started building and then you need funds to complete the building, we are also there to help you with that. So if you come to us and take a land purchase loan, and after you're done paying, you want to build, you can come to us again, and then we can give you money to actually put up the building also. So we are there for you when it comes to anything home ownership. First National Bank is actually there for you. Now, our next or the product that we have is the equity release, and this we also call the homeowner loans. Now, for the equity release, you should be a homeowner before you can actually qualify for this. So if you're not a homeowner, you can't qualify for the equity release products that we have. And it's just simply you unlocking the value in your property that's already sitting there. So you don't have to sell the property to get the money. You use the property as a collateral to assess the loan from us while still maintaining full ownership of the property. And it's a smart way to generate funds without actually disrupting your long-term plans. You'll still live in the house. No one is going to tell you to leave the house, but you can get a loan on that same house that you are living in whilst you pay it monthly. And you'd have to be the rightful owner of the property that you are using to as a collateral to take the loan. And also, repayment is up to 20 years. So you have a long period to actually pay for the loan. And we can actually finance up to 70% of the value of the property. So if you do a valuation and then, let's say the property costs, let's say $100,000, we can give you up to 70% of the property price. And once again, repayment doesn't have to exceed 40% of your net income. And then co-borrowing is also allowed in this aspect. And the building, as I mentioned, it must be a residential building. You can't release equity on a commercial property. No, we wouldn't give you a loan for that. And when it comes to equity release, most of the common reasons that we get for people coming to take this loan is maybe they are looking to pay school fees for their children home and abroad, or handling emergency expenses, or even health expenses, medical expenses. People come and release equity. Some even release equity to buy a car, maybe the latest uh, Toyota or G-Wagon, they want money to buy it. They actually release equity to go and purchase it because they know they'll still be staying in the house while paying for the loan. So it's actually a smart way. And also, if you're a business owner and you want to expand your business, but you need money and you're a homeowner, there's this option for you to, you can release equity on your existing home and then you get to expand your business. Or if you are looking to open more branches, you get to do that with the loan that you take from us. Now, the property that you'll be using must be titled, must be a titled property. So you need to have the necessary documentation, and you also need to be the owner of the property that you are using or you are releasing the equity on. So we'll move to our next slide, and that will be the key features. I'm sure you realize that most of the features is actually runs through most of the products. One is the amount of loan that you can take. So for all our loans, the minimum that you can take is $20,000. So, or it's CD equivalent. And then for our loans too, the maximum repayment period is 20 years. But for the land purchase, it's 10 years. So if you are taking a land purchase loan, you only have 10 years to pay for it. And then for the loan currency also, we do both CD and then dollar. So if you're based in Ghana, you're earning in CD and you want to take a mortgage from us, you can qualify. If you're also not based in Ghana and you're earning in dollars, we also have the option of you taking. And then for our interest rates also currently, for our dollar loans, we are doing a base rate of 12.3 percent plus a margin. Now the margin is dependent on each individual profile, specific profile. So we look at the individual after assessment to see the margin that would be up. Someone can actually even apply and then the 12.3 would be what the person actually be getting. But like I mentioned, it's plus a margin dependent on the individual's profile or after we do our assessment. And then we also offer Ghana loans or Ghana CD loans. And with that, what we do is we use the Ghana reference rate, which is the GRR, plus a margin, or we add a margin to it. And repayment, as I mentioned, is up to 20 years. Minimum is 10 years. But for land purchase, you only have 10 years to pay for the land. And then also for the financing aspect, as I mentioned, if you are non-resident, non-Ghanaian, we can only do 50% of the property price for you. And if you are non-resident, non-Ghanaian, also, you can only qualify for a home purchase and then a land purchase loan from First National Bank. You can't qualify for an equity release or a home completion construction. No, you only qualify for a home purchase and then a land purchase from First National Bank. And there's also the prepayment flexibility. Maybe after taking the loan, after 5 years, you hit a jackpot. Maybe you win the lottery and then you want to come and pay off your loan. And we are hoping to adjust that. With that, there's a small prepayment fee of 0.25 and on the amount left for you to pay. So that is what happens. So we don't say that if you have money, you still have to stick to the long-term payment. If you want to just come and settle everything, we are open to that actually. Now, we would look at the application process. It might look a bit cumbersome, but it's very, very simple. Our process is quite simple. Now, for the process, the first step is you have to submit the completed application form with all the required documents. So the required document includes identification, proof of income, credit reports, and then the property details. Now, within 72 hours, after we've received all this from you, we send you a letter of acknowledgement confirming receipts, and then we outline the next steps to you. Now, after you would have to sign and return the acknowledgement form to us to confirm that you'd want us to proceed, and then you are okay with the content of the letter that we sent to you. And then after that, your application is assigned to a home loans advisor. And the advisor checks your affordability and reviews your documents. And then we perform our legal and then credit and valuation and due diligence in-house. And if your application is successful, what we do is we issue a facility letter. Now, the facility letter is the official loan letter, and it includes is your approved amount, your interest rate, the repayment terms, and then all associated fees. Now, if you are okay with the facility letter and what we send to you, then you sign the facility letter and then you pay your application fee, and then you also pay the deposit towards registration. Now, the deposit towards registration, what it does, it covers your legal stamping and then registration cost. And I will speak or I would shed more light on that as we progress. And then finally, we do our final affordability check and then borrower education. So, but before we disburse the funds to you, we request updated pay slips or statements to confirm that you can still afford the loan. And then we also host a borrower education session just to educate you on the loan, the content of the letter, how much you'll be paying, just to make sure that you understand everything before we proceed with the disbursement of the funds. Now, there are some supporting documents that you would have to provide after during the application process. First is proof of identification. Now, for that, it depends on the ID you provide depends on your profile. For Ghanaians, whether resident or abroad, you give us your Ghana card or a Ghana passport, your voter's ID, or a driver's license. We take any of these. And then for non-Ghanaians, we take valid international passports. And if you are non-Ghanaian living in Ghana, we require a resident permit. That is if you are living in Ghana. And if you are Ghanaian living outside Ghana, to require a legal documentation showing that you are legally living in the country that you are, wherever you are applying for the loan from. So we require identification, and then also credit reports. We also request a credit report from you. Now, for the credit report, for Ghanaian-based applicants, we use a local bureau, XDS or Dun& Bradstreet. And then for diaspora applicants, you can provide the reports from either Equifax, Experian, or TransUnion. So whichever one works in your country, you just have to provide us with the credit report. And then also you provide us with passport pictures, proof of address. I mentioned proof of income already. So for proof of income, you provide us with, for salaried applicants, the last 3 months pay slip, and then 3 months of endorsed bank statement is very, very important, showing inflows of your salary. And then also for unemployment contract, that's if you've been employed less than a year, you have to provide that with that. And then if you work abroad or a foreign national, you'd have to provide us with proof showing that you're actually working there or in the country legally. And then if you're a contract staff, you also provide us with a contract renewal proof that your contract is renewed every year. Now, the bank statement must show inflows, like as I mentioned, and it has to be a 3 months endorsed bank statement. Now, if you are self-employed, we require 3 years of your business bank statement to see how well your business is performing. And a 3 years audited financial statement, it's very, very important. We require that too. And then current year-to-date management account also, we require that. And then as a business owner too, we require 12 months of your personal bank statement. And a certificate of incorporation showing at least that you own more than 20% of the business. And then, so I believe I've mentioned, but there are some other requirements or supporting document depending on the type of loan that you are taking. So for equity releases, you have to prove to the bank or give us a reason or a purpose for taking the loan or releasing equity on your property. And you have to provide us with proof of the property ownership. And then for home construction, you'd have to provide us with your bill of quantities, evidence of the land ownership to prove that the land that you are building on is actually yours, and then a building permit also, and then the building drawings or architectural drawings also. So these are basically some of the supporting documents that you provide to us. And now we'd move to the transaction cost. I'm sure we all know that when it comes to taking loans, there are some fees or costs that you would have to pay for the loan. So we at FNB, we are very transparent when it comes to the fees or the cost of the transaction. And we let you know so that you plan ahead, so that you're not caught by surprise when we request that you make these payments. Now, for the application fee, there's a non-refundable application fee or home loans application fee. This fee actually covers administrative costs, collateral due diligence, because you have to do due diligence, then also title and land searches. We have to make sure that the land that you're actually buying or the land that you're building on is actually that belongs to the owner or the individual selling the land to you, or the developer that is actually building for you. So we do all these searches, and then we also do evaluation and then also legal review on the land or the property that you are buying. Now we have for CD and then for USD. And for USD loans, what we charge is for the application fee is 1.5 of the loan amount and a minimum of $750. And for CD loans, we also charge 2.5 of the loan amount with a minimum equivalent of $750. So like I mentioned, this fee is for the administrative costs, and then our searches, and then the valuation, and then the legal reviews that we have to do to ensure that the investment that you are doing, or the land that you are buying, or the house that you are buying is actually doesn't have any issues, or there are no cost issues, or there are no problems when it comes to the land or the building that you are buying. Then there's also the deposit towards registration. Now, this deposit is actually used to cover the cost of registering the property and the mortgage at Lands Commission. So it covers things like stamp duty, presentation fees, and then consent to mortgage. So for that, there are actually two categories depending on your title documents or the documents that you submit to us. Now, if you don't have a registered land title, or you don't submit a registered land title certificate, for the dollar, the deposit fee is 2% of the property value plus $500. And also, if it's a CD you are taking, it's 2% of the property value plus CD equivalent of $500. Now, if you submit a land title certificate, so registered indenture, what we give you is for USD, you do a 1% of the loan amount, which is plus $200. And then if it's CD, that one is also 1% of the loan amount plus a CD equivalent of $200. So these are the fees that you pay. One is the application fee, like I mentioned, for administrative, and then the searches and then evaluation. So all the money that you, or the money, whichever money you pay to us, it actually goes towards goes towards something we are doing for you to ensure that, or to secure the investment that you are doing. So now that we've looked at the transaction cost, I would want us to look at some ideas or examples of how a typical home loan application looks like at our end. A summary of how much you can qualify for, and how much you'll be paying monthly, and then your qualifying income if you decide to take a loan from us. Now, this example or the summary shows us a typical home purchase loan, and the property price in USO. The comparison is in both dollar and then CD. Now, property price of $70,000. I mentioned earlier that we do only 80% of the price, but if you are non-resident, non-Ghanaian, we do 50%. But for this example, we are using the 80% example. So the loan amount that we can provide to the applicant is $56,000, which is 80% of the property price. And then the individual, that's a 20% deposit. And that is $14,000. And the tenor of the loan repayment period is 20 years. And the base rate, as I mentioned earlier, is 12.3. So when you apply the fees or the application that the fees and then the deposit that I mentioned, at the end of, or once everything or the loan is disbursed, you realize that the individual ends up paying an application fee of $840, and then the registration deposit is $1,900. Now, for your monthly repayment, you pay $628 every month. And for you to be able to qualify for an amount of $56,000, you should have a qualifying monthly income of $1,571. That is how you'll be able to qualify for the amount stated. And I mentioned earlier that we usually don't take more than 40% of your net income. So for you to be comfortable and for you to be able to pay this amount every month, you should be earning a net of $1,571 dollars every month. And that is for if you take a a dollar loan. Now, if you look at the CD aspect also, we did a conversion. We used the CD conversion rate. If the property cost 875,000 CDs, and we give the individual a loan amount of $700,000. Repayment is 20 years. It cuts across whether CD or dollar loan that you take. And then the CD rate is 30.40. Monthly, you will end up paying 17,000 CDs every month. And then for you to be able to qualify for, you need to earn an amount of 39,000 CDs every month. And then for the application fee, you pay 17,000 CDs. And then the deposit, or registration deposit, you pay 25,000 CDs. So for the dollar loan, you end up paying a total transaction fee of 2,740 on a loan of $56,000. And then for CD, you end up paying an amount of 42,000 on a loan of 700,000 CDs. So this is how a typical loan and repayment structure looks like. But this is just an example that we are using. I just wanted to give you guys an idea of how it would look like, and how much you need to be earning if you'd want to take a loan amount of, let's say, 56,000. So this is for the home purchase. Now we would move to someone who is looking to buy land and wants to take a land loan, or a loan from FNB to buy land. Now, the land is going for $40,000. That's for a dollar loan. And like I mentioned, we do only 60%. So we are going to give you $24,000, and then you do a deposit of 16,000. And then for land, I mentioned that the repayment period is just 10 years. Unlike the home purchase and then the others, that is 20 years. For land, it's just 10 years. And then the interest rate is 12.3. And after doing all the calculations, you'll be paying a monthly amount of $349 every month if you decide to go for a loan of $24,000 from First National Bank. And for you to qualify for such an amount, you need a qualifying monthly income of $872. So this is the amount that you need to actually take a $24,000 loan from First National Bank. And for the application fee, you pay an application fee of $750. And then the registration deposit, as I mentioned, you pay $1,500. So you end up paying a total transaction fee if you decide to take this loan of $2,250. And same process applies to the CD loan also. I would like to bring my presentation to an end, but before I bring it to an end, I'd just like to go over a few of the things that I've said. So like I mentioned, we cater to Ghanaians living in Ghana, Ghanaians living outside Ghana, non-Ghanaians living in Ghana, non-Ghanaians living outside Ghana. And then also, for non-Ghanaians living outside Ghana, you can qualify for only the land and then the home purchase. So for the other loans, you don't qualify, you only qualify, and we only do 50% of the land price or the property price. But if you are Ghanaian, or if you're non-Ghanaian living in Ghana outside, you actually qualify for 80% of the, if you're buying a house, and then if you're buying land, you qualify for 60%. If you are building or you are completing your home, you qualify for 66%. And if you're releasing equity on your property, you qualify for 70%. So I would like to hand over to Hanna. I believe I've said a lot, and I believe there are a lot of questions that people
Yes,
have to
you do
ask.
have a lot of questions.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your presentation, for giving us a very detailed view of the financing options. So I think at this point, we're going to open up the platform for Q&A. And I think, Louv, I'll let you take it over from here.
Yes.
Our first question. Thank you.
Yes, so I believe Cheryl had her hand raised. Cheryl, you put your hand down. Do you still have a question? Just put your hand back up and I'll allow you to talk if you do. Okay, let's see. Rhoda has a question. Rhoda, what is your question? You have to hit unmute.
Okay. Hi, please, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Okay. Why is the base rate in Ghana higher than the base rates in the US for the dollar payment? The base rate for the CD is 30.4, but the base rate for the dollar is lower.
Miriam, you're on mute.
Oh.
Miriam, you're, yeah.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
So yes, so for the CD,
Okay.
like I mentioned, we use the GRR, which is the lending rate that the Bank of Ghana provides to us. So it's not something that we determine ourselves. So what happens is every month, the Bank of Ghana provides the lending rate, or how much you can lend at, and then we just add a margin to it. So it's actually not something that we determine ourselves.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for your question, Rhoda. I do have some chat questions. Unless anyone else wants to raise their hands, I'm gonna go over to the chat questions.
I see some questions in the chat box.
Yep, go ahead, go for it.
Okay. So I see someone is asking if someone has dual citizenship, would they qualify for 100% financing? So I mentioned that for the 100% financing, they actually have to be Ghanaian based in Ghana. So even if you have dual citizenship, are you living in Ghana? You have to be based in Ghana for you to qualify for the 100%. So, and I mentioned that the price doesn't have to exceed $100,000. So you can have dual citizenship, but then, however, you're not living in Ghana. So for that, you actually don't qualify. But if you are based in Ghana, then you would qualify. I hope you can all hear me.
Yes, we can. We can.
Okay, awesome. And then the next question is, can you have more than one residential loan at a time if I want to buy more than 2 or 3 properties? Okay, yes. So if you're looking to buy to, let's say, at a go, yes, it's possible. You can actually take a loan to purchase 2 properties at a time. But if, let's say, you buy one and then you are looking to come and buy another one, you'd have to pay the loan for a while before you can actually take another one. But maybe at the point of taking the loan, you are acquiring 2 properties. That one, it's possible. But if you just take a loan for one, you're not done paying with that one. So you can't actually take another one. So you have paid the existing one for a period of time. I hope my answer clarifies your question. Yes.
It does.
Thank you. Okay. Are you affiliated with the First National Bank in the US? No, please, we are not. So First National Bank is a South African bank, and we are not affiliated to First National Bank in the US in any way.
Okay. And is there a credit score minimum requirement? I know you had asked about the.
No, so we really don't have a minimum requirement. Like I said, we look at how well you pay your loans. So the criteria is determined by our credit team. So they look at how well you pay. That's why I said it's on an individual basis. Someone can actually have a high credit score, but when you look at how maybe they have a lot of loans, and so that might disqualify them. So we don't really have a score when it comes to the credit, but we look at a lot of things before we determine whether you can actually qualify for our loans or not.
Okay, and are there any age restrictions?
Yes. So what we do is we don't want you going into retirement and still paying a loan. That's one thing we don't want. So if you're nearing retirement, we really assess your profile very well before we consider giving you a loan. But in different countries, there are different retirement ages when it comes to different countries. In Ghana, it's 60 years, but in the US and I think in Canada, it's 65 years. So what we ensure is we wouldn't want you going on retirement and paying a loan. So once you are 2 years, 3 years to retirement, it will be difficult for us. So at least the maximum may be 10 years to retirement. That one we might consider, or even 5 years. But then 5 years, meaning your monthly repayment would be high, and we wouldn't want to burden you, knowing that you want to go on retirement and then enjoy your have a peaceful retirement. So that's.
All right, and then
Louv, what's the minimum age? So the maximum is 60. What's the minimum? Is it 18 or 21?
21.
All right, thank you.
And Cheryl Brannon had her hand raised earlier. I'm gonna allow her to talk. Cheryl, if you can unmute and ask your question, if you still have that question.
Thank you. My question was answered, so I'm fine at this point. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Does anyone else have any questions? All right. Hanna, I think I'm gonna let people. Oh, wait, someone just raised their hand. 1 second. Let's see. Who raised their hand here? I'm trying to find you. Did you put your hand down?
Put it back down, yeah.
Don't do that to me.
Oh, if you have any, please feel free to ask me if you have any questions. I'm here to answer all your questions.
All right. Well, if you want to type your question in the chat, that's fine. If you don't want to speak, we'll make sure to address it before we end the Zoom meeting. But Hannah, I'll go ahead and let you kind of let people know what we have upcoming. And Des, if you want to let people know what's coming to Charlotte on Tuesday, that would be amazing.
Wonderful. Thank you all so much for your participation today. Thanks for all your great questions. And once again, Miriam, thank you so much for your
Thank you for having
presentation.
me, Hanna.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So we are going to end it here. And before we do, I just want to remind everyone we have the home buyers workshop that will be coming out on May 1st. So please check your emails. We'll be sending you the link and all the information for that. Again, that's the home buyers workshop that will come out on May 1st. It will be a 3-part series all the way from the home buying process in more detail, to the due diligence process, escrow services, etc. So we want to make sure you're as equipped as possible. We also have the Ghana Real Estate Certification Program coming up on May 19th. May 19th to June 6th, I believe. It's a 3-week course. It's Monday through Friday from 12 to 2 p.m. EST, Eastern Standard Time. So you will be getting the link for that as well. And please make sure you sign up. Once you get your certification, you will be able to conduct, I guess, real estate brokerage in Ghana. So yeah, thank you all so much. And I see a hand up. Cheryl, your hand is back up. Did you have a question?
Yeah, let me let you talk, Cheryl. Go ahead and
Thank
talk.
you so much. This has been a great session. I also had the opportunity to participate in the first session as well.
Oh,
I do have a question regarding the sales process. And that is, after one actually signs a sales purchase agreement, then from what I understand generally, or at least from what I'm aware of at this point in time, one has 2 weeks to actually have a signed indenture before the transaction is complete. I'm wondering if you might just take a moment to talk about the process between when the SPA is signed and then the indenture.
Okay, Miriam? All right, I think she's
She
dropped.
dropped.
Emma, are you going to? Okay. I think her thing dropped. Okay, so your question is from the point that you signed the sales and purchase agreement to the point that you receive the indenture. You would actually, the point that you receive the indenture is after you've made the last payment. Then the seller or the developer would do a deed of transfer from their name to your name. So it really depends. Sometimes that process could take, it depends on the legal team. That process could take a couple of weeks for you to be able to get the indenture. So I want to make sure I understand your question.
Yes, exactly. So, because that's what I understood, the 2 weeks as well. So technically, after the SPA is signed, after a down payment is made, then after the balance of payment is made,
Yes.
then I understand there's 2 weeks for the indenture. And you mentioned a deed, which is a little bit new.
It's the same thing.
Okay.
Same thing. Deed of transfer, the indenture, the site plan, it's all in the same package.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay. I see Miriam is back on.
Thank you.
But I do see Emma had her hand up as well.
Apologies, my internet was messing up. Sorry about that.
No problem. Cheryl, so did that answer your question?
It did. I appreciate it. Yes.
Okay,
Awesome.
great. Thank you.
Thank
Emma, you had your hand up. Did you? It's back down now. Okay. Cheryl, did you have another question? Your hand is still up, or? Okay, it's all right.
And someone named Mary had a question. She wanted to say, she said, please, what did you say the interest rate for Ghanaians is? I only heard non-residents. Thank you.
I
You're
think
on
she's
mute,
referring to the
Miriam.
CD loan.
Okay, so like I mentioned, is the GRR plus our margin. So currently it's around 30%.
So the interest rate for Ghanaians is 30%?
Yes, around
On a
30%. Yes,
CD loan.
on the
Okay.
CD
Yeah.
loan. Yes.
Okay, okay.
Christian has a question.
Okay, Christian, go ahead.
Christian, you're on mute.
You can unmute. Christian?
Hello, good evening.
Oh, we hear you now.
Hi, Christian. Good evening.
Thank you for the opportunity. I
Thank
just want
you.
to ask, I heard that the loan period is 20 years, but
Yes.
suppose somebody wants to do early payment, is there a penalty or what conditions comes in?
Yes, so I mentioned that there's the option of early repayment. However, you pay a certain percentage of the amount left for you to. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can
Yes.
Yes,
hear you.
I do. Yes, I do, please.
So I think
I
he was
think,
going to say there was a prepayment penalty.
yes. Well, I recall the amount. Joel, if you can scroll back up on the presentation, please. The amount was 0.25% of the loan if you were going to do an early prepayment. Yeah. So it was 0.25%. You can keep going.
All right.
There it is.
Okay.
Repayment period, 0.255% of the amount.
All right.
All right.
All right.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you, Christian. And
Thank you.
for those of you in the Charlotte, North Carolina area, Des has some awesome news.
Before she does,
Uh-huh.
sorry, we have another question in the
Oh, we
chat.
did? I
Yeah,
only
it
saw
says,
Christian.
Miriam, I sent you an email address, but it bounced back to me as wrong. Can you please show your email address?
Okay.
So we will send that to you, Patrick. We'll send her email address to you. I think, Joel, if you could scroll to the contact us page, please.
Yeah.
The last page on the presentation, it should be, on there. Thank you.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yes, Miriam.
Yes, apologies. Yes. So
No problem.
as I was saying, yes, so there's the option of early repayment. However, you pay, I don't want to call it a penalty, but then you pay an amount of 0.25 of the amount left for you to pay.
Thank you. Miriam, is that your correct email address? Someone was trying to send
Yes.
you an email now and it bounced back.
Yes. So
Okay.
it's Miriam.Dowuona. So it's Miriam. Let me just put it in the chat box so that.
It's on the last page of your presentation.
Yes, it is.
That's correct. Okay.
So it's Miriam, Miriam dot Dowuona, Dowuona at firstnationalbank.com.gh.
Thank you. It's in the chat as well for anybody who would like her email address.
Yes. Are there
Any
any
more
more questions, please?
Nope, I think those are the last two. Thank you. All right,
Thank
love.
you too.
Okay, well, exciting news. So if there's anyone in the Charlotte area, either raise your hands, send a message in the chat. You could give me a call at 704-997-9539. We have some great news. We have Dre Taylor. He's a developer over in Ghana. And I believe a lot of people know him. He's done the Beyond View in the Aburi Mountains of Ghana. And so he's doing a 14 city tour, and he is stopping in Charlotte on Tuesday, April 22nd from 6 to 8. And Acrels is one of the sponsors and will also be the host of the event. And so we are very excited. And if you're in the Charlotte area, please do let us know if you'd like to get more information or get any tickets.
Thank you. All
You're
right.
welcome.
Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. We appreciate you guys. Look forward to seeing you again. We're going to continue to bring more information to you. And Miriam, thank you so much for your amazing
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I have a feeling you're going to be busy, Miriam.
I look forward to it.
All right. Well, everyone, if you celebrate the holidays, enjoy your Easter weekend, and may God continue to bless you all. Thank you. All right. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Build castles in sand. Africa, unlock the key is in you. Bridges rebuilt, the old made new. Home is a heartbeat, don't misconstrue. Africa, unlock, it's a vibe that's true. Contracts signed, futures entwined. Homecoming sweet, no nations blind. Diamonds ain't just jewels, they're in the mind. The diaspora shines where the suns align. Stock markets roll, but so do our plans. Generational wealth for these